Good morning and welcome to Caretaker's Corner. My name is CJ, and on this channel we discuss everything that has to do with caretaking for our elderly and disabled parents, our disabled spouses, and our special needs adult children. And today I'd like to discuss what I call the dreaded circle, or in the case of my in-laws, the dreaded semicircle. And this is an area where your family member, depending on their level of disability, spends a large deal of their time, and therefore they keep a lot of things where they can get to them. And this can be a controlled area, or this can get out of control fast. And that's really what I'm here to discuss. My spouse is going to have surgery coming up, so we have to go through and do a lot of cleaning and rearranging in our room, which is going to affect her circle. And I like to think of the circle as a way to help them maintain more independence, which is why they have it. So, like in the case of my mother-in-law, she was paraplegic, and she spent most of her time either in her bed or at the table. So about 5 a.m. every morning, we got her up, and she'd sit at the table till we were all ready to go to bed, and then we'd put her to bed. So, and she had half the table, and she had this huge semicircle that went around that had everything she would need during the day, or that she thought she would need during the day. So, I mean, it would have anything from fingernail clips to wet wipes, to a place where her coffee cup sat, a place for the carafe to sit, her video game that she played, her phone. She had everything nice and neat. To the side, she had drawers, the plastic drawer, like 3-tier drawer things, where she would have other items that she might need to get to. And my father-in-law was at the end of the table. He had a much smaller semicircle because he was at the end of the table, but similar. It had stuff that he would need throughout the day, or that he felt he would need. And if you went in the room, you had the same issue. Now, you would have the stuff that I had organized because I was going to need it for them. So, like in the bathroom, we would have their stuff in a nice, neat, orderly fashion. In their room, we had the bed pads and the sheets, because we went through a lot of sheets. With my mother-in-law being paraplegic, obviously using the restroom was an issue, and so sheets were changed multiple times a day. Bed pads were changed multiple times a day. Same with my father-in-law. He wasn't quite paraplegic. He had Parkinson's, but he was elderly. He had trouble walking, and so he had a lot of accidents and stuff. With my brother, who was in a wheelchair for quite a while, he wasn't actually paraplegic. He just he had to rebuild all the muscles in his legs after having been in a coma for a while. And so his stuff was set up the same way. He had everything he would need over by his bed, for like whatever he thought he might need, because he was mainly only in bed at night. And then his area at the table, which worked like his desk area, now he had all sorts of stuff over there. He would have his game stuff, his cigarettes, his mints, just anything like that. Around, he had a medical bed, so it was he was set up in the living room, and that's where we also kept the side bed toilet, and his urinal, and his walker for when his physical therapist was there. We were trying to teach him how to walk again. All of his medical supplies were kept, and devices were kept in a certain area. But now the area where he kept his personal items tended to get very chaotic and very hectic. And I find that this can happen very fast if you don't stay on top of it. In the case of my mother and father-in-law, I used to have to wait till they'd go to bed, because they sat at the kitchen table all day. Well, we'd put down a tablecloth, then we put down a plastic covering over the tablecloth. My mother-in-law smoked, and then of course accidents happen, things get spilled, and this way we could, keep everything protected, and it was easy cleanup. You didn't have to worry about taking everything off and changing out the tablecloth. However, because of the way she was, we'd have to take pictures of everything so we could try and get it back to exactly the way she liked it. And inevitably I didn't, and she would cuss and yell for about 2 hours. But at least once every 3 months, this had to be done. And I'm bringing this up because my spouse is going to have surgery coming up. So we are going to have to go through and do a lot of cleanup and reorganization on our room to make it easier for her to get in and out of bed. We're going to have to move some stuff around so that she can have a straight shot to the restroom during her recovery period. And we may have to bring in some extra medical devices, such as my dad's Hoyer lift, possibly a walker, a regular walker. We have 2 wheelie walkers that she uses. But they can be very protective of their circles. And in her case, she's really protective of her circle. The last time I cleaned the circle, my best friend actually took her to Arkansas with her so that I could, or Arizona, one of those, so that I could clean the room while she was gone. And I didn't have to worry about her getting upset. This area is for their convenience and to give them as much independence as possible. And I know that in my life, I try and give my family members as much independence in their areas as possible, because the idea is they're making it easier for them and less demanding on us. But there comes a point where you got to go, hey, we have to clean this. We have to organize this. We have to do something. Let's just be nice about it. Like in the case of my spouse, we're going to take a section of the room every weekend till we get it done. And we're going to do it in small bits because she has limited number of spoons. Please see my spoon theory video for that explanation. And with all the doctor's appointments and tests and stuff she has coming up, she's going to be using her spoons a lot. So the idea is we're going to do it just a little bit at a time. This also allows her to mentally process the fact that, you know, while when you put this item here 2 years ago, you might have needed it every day, but you haven't touched it in 2 years. And that's my logic. If they haven't used something in a long time, and I'm talking a year, maybe 2, they really don't need it anymore. And what you got to do is explain that to them in a way that's nice, a little bit stern sometimes, but helps them to understand that, you know, you haven't used it in a long time, so obviously it doesn't need to be in your circle. And if it's something they really don't need, don't threaten to get rid of it. Move it to the edge of the circle. Or if you have a garage, a closet, a storage building, like a built-right building, tell them, hey, I will move it to this area so that way when you need it, I can get it out. But this way it helps you have more area here that you can use for stuff that you actually need. Unfortunately, when you're getting into this, I mean, it seems like it's such a simple thing, but this can be one of the most terrifying things for our loved ones when we start getting into their circle. I find that when and I find this with all of my family members that I've been a caretaker for. Whenever you're talking about getting and cleaning up that area and trying to get some organization, because letting it go, it can get really bad. Like it can get where you can't move, where you've got just enough room to put them in there or to move them into that area, and then that's it. You have no other room, no room to move around. In the case of a earthquake, they'd be crushed. All right, so you have to literally go, no, we have to do something about this, but you have to do it in a nice, loving manner, and that can be really hard when we're talking about this, because people are very attached to their belongings. They're very attached to what they think makes their life easier, and sometimes they don't realize that what they think makes their life easier, number one, it doesn't. And number two, it makes your life as the caretaker a lot more difficult. Case in point, in my bedroom, it would be a lot easier if I could make it all the way around the bed on all 3 sides in order to make the bed. But because Barbara's circle completely takes up one side of her room, I'm not able to do that, which is another thing that another reason we are working on getting all this cleaned up, because she's going to have to be able to get up on her side of the bed and walk around to be able to get to the bathroom. Because of the surgery she has to have, she will not be able to do what she currently does, which is scoot over and get outside on my side of the bed. And there are things over there that she has to have within arm's length. And then there's a lot of things over there that just need to be moved out. You know, it's not that big of a deal. And she's not touched some of it in quite a while. But we're going to take it nice and slow. And I'm going to do it with as much love as I can. So, on a serious note, this is something that I know from talking to other caretakers that I see every day, that I know I'm not the only one with this issue. But I am going to suggest that unless you've got a best friend that will take them on vacation for a week, do this slowly. Do it with as much love as you can, and try to remember it is extremely stressful on them to have to do this. And it is probably the most stressful thing they'll go through at that point in their life. So you want to be as loving and kind as you can. So with that note, I hope you all have a great week. Remember to smile, and that you've got this, and that together we will get through this caretaking journey, and we have a lot to learn from one another. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and please put in the comments anything you want me to talk about, or any ideas you have about how you work on your family members' circles. Have a great day. Goodbye.